Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Kamen, and I just graduated just a few weeks ago with the fabulous class. Yeah, that was indeed the fabulous class of 2014. But I got to experience USM a little bit before I actually started in here, because USM came to me. It was living in my living room and my bedroom, and I was lucky enough to actually see my wife go through this program before I did. And I got the benefit of actually receiving the transformation that she experienced. My introduction to USM was her request to go to the Loyalty to Your Soul workshop, which was basically the beginning of this journey, which has been life-changing for me. And I didn't want to leave at the end of the workshop. My only dilemma was, how do I get my wife to let me do this program? Not knowing that she had spent 2 years doing her magic to actually bring me here. So pre-USM, I had this, I had great kids, a business that I really loved. But what was happening was I was doing all this work and I couldn't necessarily define myself. I didn't necessarily exist outside of what I was doing. And whether it was doing something with the kids, whether it was doing something for my business, my clients, I was who I am based on what I did. And I realized that that kind of left me at a point where I didn't even ask myself, what do I want? It wasn't even an option to even consider the question. Going through this program, I got to really experience allowing myself to really make time for myself and really gain a lot of clarity and have the ability to really just allow myself to say, what do you want? So back to my business, I really loved what I do. I guess I'm an IT consultant if I have to put a title to it. I love being of service to people, and it was getting to the point where all this service was actually basically draining me. I was doing it without actually making any time for myself. And so the second year project was this massive transformation for me because I started the second year project thinking that I knew what I was going to do, and it ended up transforming quite a bit to the point where I just said, you know, this really feels a lot more like work, and I don't want to do it. And I had the presence of mind to actually listen to myself and say, I'm going to do something different. And I went out and said, I'm going to do my pilot training and get my private pilot's license, which has absolutely no application in my life whatsoever, other than giving me the time and space to actually allow to experience time for myself. And I thought I was getting away with murder because it was so cool. You know, you just go out and fly. What I didn't realize is that this experience actually brought up every single challenging issue I had in the most wonderful way. And so I got to work through all this stuff and actually realized that, hey, it's doable. It was simple. And what that ended up doing was actually transforming every aspect of my life. I walked out of practicum a few weeks ago, and suddenly I had the wife I've always wanted, and she had gotten the husband she always wanted. And all of a sudden, my kids were there, and I was loving them unconditionally. And going back to the business, I show up now with my clients, with my staff, in a way that's entirely of service, but while respecting and setting boundaries and still doing it in a way that really gives me this peace and really lets me enjoy my work. Just the metaphors and everything that came with the flying, I can tell you, I got my wings in more ways than one. And it's just been a fabulous trip. Thank you.